I would certainly agree with that. It's by no means a criticism of the UK, but certainly here, one of the big differences that all the British people that I speak to, they all say the same thing, which is in America, everyone wants to get behind you.
Once again, Prince Harry has learnt the hard way that borrowed prestige doesn't guarantee admiration. At the Upfront Summit 2025 in Los Angeles, he stepped onto the stage, only to be met with cold, uncomfortable silence. No applause. No cheers. Just an echo of indifference that laid bare a harsh reality. Harry's star power has faded beyond recognition. Once celebrated as the rebellious royal who broke tradition, the Duke of Sussex now drifts in a sea of public apathy.
Just to see me up here, perhaps wondering which of the plethora of issues consuming the world today that I'm going to talk about. Well, I don't have that long. And I know that Mark wants to quiz me after, so I'll keep this important topic brief.
Every attempt he makes at public engagement seems to be met with a collective shrug. His speech, filled with empty platitudes and rehashed complaints, landed with a dull thud. But it was the audience's response, or lack thereof, that truly spoke volumes. No one seems to care anymore. So what actually happened in that auditorium? Multiple attendees at the Upfront Summit 2025 confirmed the same awkward scene. Prince Harry ended his speech, paused briefly, and waited for a reaction. But nothing came. No standing ovation. No polite applause. Not even the nervous coughs that sometimes signal uncertainty. Just silence. Something that I believe will resonate with all of you as leaders, as creators, builders, and changemakers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today? A tech journalist from Business Insider who attended the event tweeted, "Harry's speech just ended. Wow. No reaction. I've never seen a summit crowd go that still." Another attendee took to LinkedIn, calling the moment painfully awkward, and noting that the entire room felt frozen. This wasn't a glitch in the live stream. It wasn't a technical hiccup. It was a genuine reaction from a room full of professionals who simply weren't buying what Prince Harry was trying to sell. And here's the real twist: the content of Harry's speech. Instead of tailoring his message to a room full of entrepreneurs, innovators, and disruptors, he chose to rehash the same tired narratives.
The way that I answer the question of how we invest in our shared future is different now living in the US to when I was living in the UK. Why? Well, because before I moved, so much of my life revolved around charity.
He spoke again about the trauma of royal life, the toxicity of the media, and his ongoing mission for mental health awareness. Of course, these are serious and valid issues, but the problem is, he's been saying the same things over and over. From Oprah to Netflix to his memoir Spare and nearly every public event since 2020, Harry has told these stories on repeat. Even his most sympathetic supporters are starting to tune out. Sources claim that large portions of his speech were lifted almost word for word from past interviews, a choice that signals either creative laziness, self-delusion, or perhaps both. And let's not forget, the Upfront Summit isn't a therapy circle. It's a platform for showcasing innovation, leadership, and bold new ideas. While other speakers were unveiling AI breakthroughs or startup success strategies, Harry offered a tired monologue about being misunderstood. The silent reception wasn't an isolated moment. It was a symptom of a much bigger issue. Corporate America is done with Prince Harry. Let's break down the facts. In 2020, Harry and Meghan signed multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House. Fast forward to 2025, and every single one of those deals has either expired or been quietly shelved. Spotify terminated its agreement in 2023, with executive Bill Simmons publicly slamming the couple as grifters. Netflix didn't renew their deal, citing poor performance for Meghan's animated series Pearl and underwhelming viewership for their docuseries. With no active contracts or hit content, Harry's commercial appeal has collapsed. He's no longer seen as a visionary or a marketable voice. He's viewed as a liability, a fading brand in free fall. And that's exactly why his speech bombed so badly. The audience wasn't listening to a changemaker. They were watching a brand unravel in real time.
In companies that are developing technological solutions to address the root causes of societal challenges. Focusing on one core issue at its source, ultimately to solve the hundreds that stem from it. Now this would be a great time.
To make matters worse, Prince Harry wasn't even a headliner at the Upfront Summit. Unlike past events where he was treated as a marquee guest, This time he was quietly tucked into a midday wellness panel, far from the main stage where the real power players held court. Big names like venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, actress-turned-entrepreneur Jessica Alba, and founders of billion-dollar tech startups took the spotlight. A leaked internal agenda confirmed Harry's placement, sandwiched between a blockchain ethics discussion and a climate tech pitch. It was a clear message. He wasn't the main event, he was filler.
The fact that day-to-day life has gotten so much harder, and that as bosses, you want to offer world-class coaching to your employees. Now, the people in this room represent a sizable piece of the industry dedicated to being the first and follow-on capital.
And that might explain the frosty reception. The crowd wasn't there to hear Prince Harry speak. He wasn't a draw. He wasn't essential. He was just there. And in the high-stakes world of public influence, being just there is the worst kind of irrelevance. So what does all this tell us? Prince Harry's chilly reception at the Upfront Summit wasn't just a fluke. It was a reflection of his fall from cultural relevance. Once seen as a headline-grabbing royal disruptor, he now struggles to command even polite attention.
Or the planet. That's the future that I see. Companies that are designed not just for profit, but for an investment in a better shared future. After all, if we carry on at this rate, even the most profitable companies will exist in a world of smoke and rain.
He's certainly no longer the inspiring outsider he once tried to portray. He came to Los Angeles expecting applause. What he got instead was silence. And you'd think, even after a flat speech, his royal status would still generate media buzz. But no, major outlets covering the Upfront Summit, including TechCrunch, Bloomberg, and CNBC, skipped over Harry entirely. Their focus was squarely on what mattered to the industry: AI breakthroughs, climate tech investments, and venture capital trends. In other words, the world moved on, and Prince Harry got left behind.
Tell me, what 5 years of living here, what do you miss the most about the UK?
Well, look, living here now for 5 years, it feels like home. Santa Barbara feels like home. Brought up both of our...
Prince Harry's name, once a media magnet, was either buried in the footnotes or omitted entirely. Even The Guardian, one of the few outlets historically sympathetic to the Sussexes, offered just a single, dismissive line. Prince Harry also spoke briefly. Audience reaction was muted. That was it. That was the coverage. Compare that to previous years, when every word, every appearance, every gesture from Harry and Meghan triggered a media firestorm. Now, even the tabloids can't be bothered to turn the silence into scandal. That's how far his public image has slipped, not with a bang, but with a yawn. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic,
Irish pub just down the road in Santa Barbara, and it's they do good bangers and mash.
And I guess
That's sausages and potato.
And I guess there's like this thing you guys call football that's there.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of soccer. Whoa.
the British royal family has employed the most cutting PR strategy imaginable: complete and total silence. No public statements, no tweets from royal accounts, no passive-aggressive nods or subtle endorsements. Nothing. And this silence speaks volumes. It comes just months after Harry lost his highly publicized RAV lawsuit, a legal battle in which he attempted to force the UK government to reinstate his publicly funded security detail. The judge's decision: a firm and final rejection. Harry is not entitled to taxpayer-funded protection. The message, both from the public and the palace, is becoming clearer by the day. Prince Harry's era of influence is over.
Years of public service that you've spent. If anyone in this room hasn't read Spare, I highly recommend it because
you're plugging my book right now.
But I'm gonna tell you why.
Shameful.
I'm gonna tell you why is that,
Prince Harry lost his security case because, as the court stated, he voluntarily stepped down from royal duties and failed to demonstrate any compelling necessity for special treatment. That ruling wasn't just a legal defeat, it was a symbolic blow. And the royal family's continued silence at public events like the Upfront Summit only reinforces the message. Harry isn't missed, he isn't needed, and he certainly isn't supported. Yes, he still carries the title of Duke, but in terms of royal relevance, he's become a ghost. Let's look at the numbers. According to a YouGov poll from April 2025, Prince Harry's approval rating in the UK has plummeted to just 19%. Among Americans aged 25 to 44, the very demographic that once championed his mental health advocacy, his favorability has fallen to a mere 28%. Respondents cited 3 consistent reasons: overexposure, the endless Netflix specials, the Oprah interview, podcast appearances, and the memoir Spare. It's been a constant stream of oversharing, and people are exhausted. Hypocrisy, criticizing the media while constantly seeking press, demanding privacy while doing public tell-alls, calling for taxpayer-funded security while condemning the UK government, privilege masquerading as pain. It's hard for many to sympathize with a man lamenting his struggles from a Montecito mansion. The prince who once earned global admiration for his candor and courage has now become a symbol of entitlement and self-pity. His crown, once gleaming with promise, has lost its shine. Harry's appearance at the Upfront Summit wasn't just another lukewarm moment, it was a turning point. A moment when the cameras were on, the world was watching, and still, the room remained silent. No applause, no reaction, just the haunting echo of a man who once mattered, now desperately trying to prove he still does. And the final red flag: Meghan Markle didn't attend. Let's be clear, in the past, Meghan never missed a high-profile photo op. From walking red carpets at the Invictus Games to those accidental paparazzi moments at lunch in LA, public visibility has always been part of her brand. But at one of Los Angeles' most high-powered summits, she stayed home, and no one even noticed. At an event built around business and innovation, Meghan Markle was a ghost, not on the guest list, not in the audience, not even mentioned in Harry's speech. And here's what's even more telling: no one asked why. There were no headlines, no speculation, and no buzz. Her absence didn't stir curiosity, it confirmed a harsher reality. The Sussex brand no longer commands attention. Not in Los Angeles, not in Silicon Valley, not even among the progressive elites who once championed them. Behind closed doors, the judgment is even more brutal. Financial analysts, media strategists, and branding consultants, some of whom once praised the Sussexes as a modern media powerhouse, now describe the brand as stale and toxic. In a March 2025 report by PR Week, a senior branding executive at a major tech conglomerate, speaking anonymously, put it bluntly: associating with Harry and Meghan today doesn't guarantee reach. It guarantees backlash, controversy, and diminishing IOI. Spotify already dropped them. Netflix declined to renew their deal. Penguin Random House is reportedly hesitant to fund a sequel to Spare after sales flatlined post-scandal. The Sussexes are caught in a perfect storm. Their public goodwill is depleted. Their narratives are exhausted. Their financial demands remain sky-high. Leaked insider info reveals Harry still insists on 6-figure appearance fees, even as audiences sit in uncomfortable silence during his talks. One entertainment executive summarized it perfectly: they are trying to cash in on a reputation that no longer exists. The reality? They are not just struggling for relevance, they are over-leveraged and increasingly unwanted. Let's not forget where they've retreated to: a $14 million Montecito mansion, tucked inside a gated enclave known more for isolation than influence. What once seemed like a peaceful escape now resembles a gilded bunker, out of touch, out of reach, and out of options. In early 2025, the couple reportedly laid off over half of their Archewell staff. Public-facing projects have stalled. Their much-hyped rebrand as impact entrepreneurs has produced no meaningful ventures. And their inner circle? Silent. Oprah, Tyler Perry, even the Obamas, once vocal allies, have grown distant. Harry and Meghan were once seen as disruptors. Now, they are a cautionary tale in PR boardrooms. The isolation isn't just physical, it's reputational. That Montecito mansion may be beautiful, but in the court of global opinion, it's starting to look like a tomb. And that silence after Prince Harry's speech? It wasn't just an awkward pause. It was a verdict from the media, from the public, from the business elite, and maybe even from Meghan herself. It's over. The Sussexes are no longer disruptors. They are distractions. And if they keep showing up expecting applause, they'll keep walking off in silence.